Karen snuck off with a vet's toilet seat. HOA court flushed her excuses instantly. What kind of person steals a toilet seat from a war veteran's home and thinks they could get away with it? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, where manicured lawns and polite smiles hid simmering tensions, Karen Whitaker was about to find out the hard way. Her reign as the HOA's self-appointed queen was built on petty power plays, fining neighbors for untrimmed hedges, issuing warnings for unapproved mailbox colors. But this time, Karen crossed a line no one saw coming, and the fallout would unravel her carefully curated image in a single, explosive night. Karen's obsession with control had always been her hallmark. She patrolled Willow Creek like a hawk, her clipboard a weapon, her voice sharp enough to silence any dissent. When Tom Reynolds, a retired Marine with a Silver Star and a limp from shrapnel, moved into the neighborhood, Karen sized him up instantly. His modest ranch house, with its faded flagpole and slightly weathered porch, offended her sense of community standards. Tom, quiet but proud, ignored her nitpicking notices about his grass length or the unsightly ramp he'd built for his wheelchair-bound brother, Mike, who visited often. Karen's letters grew nastier, her fines steeper, but Tom paid them quietly, refusing to stoop to her level. That only infuriated her more. The truth began to surface when Mike, a tech-savvy veteran himself, noticed something odd. Tom's house had been vandalized, spray, paint on his garage, a cracked window, and, strangest of all, his custom toilet seat, designed for his brother's disability, was missing. Mike installed a discreet security camera, suspecting local kids. What he caught instead was Karen, sneaking onto Tom's property at midnight, prying the toilet seat off with a crowbar, her face twisted with glee as she doused the porch with red paint. The footage was grainy but unmistakable. Mike didn't confront her directly. Instead, he sent the video to the HOA board anonymously, along with a note. "Check your queen's crown. It's stolen." The HOA meeting that followed was a powder keg. Karen strutted in, unaware of the trap, her usual smirk plastered on as she prepared to lecture the room about upholding property values. Tom sat in the back, his weathered hands folded, his face unreadable. Mike was there too, leaning on his cane, eyes locked on Karen. The board president, Ellen, a no-nonsense retiree, called the meeting to order and projected the security footage onto a screen. Gasps rippled through the room as Karen's figure appeared, crowbar in hand, defiling Tom's home. The toilet seat, a practical necessity for a disabled veteran, was tossed in her SUV like a cheap trophy. Karen's face drained of color, her clipboard clattering to the floor. "You've got to be kidding me." Karen sputtered, her voice shrill. "This is a setup. That's not me." But the crowd wasn't buying it. Neighbors who'd endured her tyranny for years, fines for kids' chalk drawings, threats over holiday lights leaned forward, their murmurs turning to accusations. Ellen held up a hand. "Karen, we got your license plate on camera. And Tom's neighbor, Mrs. Chun, saw you that night too." The twist came like a gut punch. Mrs. Chun, a quiet widow who'd never spoken in an HOA meeting, stood up, trembling but resolute. "I saw her take it," she said, her voice cutting through the room. "She laughed about it, said Tom didn't deserve special treatment. I was too scared to say anything until now." Karen's excuses unraveled faster than a cheap sweater. She tried to spin a tale about investigating the seat for code violations, but the crowd's anger drowned her out. Tom finally stood, his voice steady but laced with pain. "That seat was for my brother, Karen. He fought for this country, same as me. You didn't just steal from UCU, spit on what we stand for." The room went silent. Mike added, "You painted my brother's house like it was trash. You think you're above us all." Karen's face crumpled, her defiance replaced by panic as the board voted unanimously to remove her as HOA president. Fines, they decided, weren't enough. They filed a police report for theft and vandalism, and the news spread like wildfire across Willow Creek's group chats. The confrontation reached its peak when Karen, cornered, tried one last desperate move. "I'm the victim here," she screamed, pointing at Tom. "He's been undermining our standards since he moved in." But the crowd had turned. Neighbors who'd once feared her now jeered. They're on her hands, shaking as she grabbed her purse and fled the room, leaving the toilet seat on the table like a discarded crown. The HOA meeting ended with a stunned silence, the weight of her downfall sinking in. In the days that followed, Karen's life unraveled. The police charged her with theft and property damage, and the neighborhood shunned her. Her house, once the envy of Willow Creek, went up for sale within weeks. She couldn't face the stairs. Tom, ever the quiet hero, replaced the toilet seat with help from a community fundraiser organized by Mrs. Chun, who'd found her voice. At a small gathering in Tom's backyard, neighbors toasted to new beginnings, the flag on his pole snapping in the breeze. Mike raised a glass, his smile bittersweet. "To justice," he said, and the crowd echoed it, their wounds beginning to heal. Willow Creek was never the same, but in the best way. The HOA rewrote its rules, prioritizing fairness over control. Tom's home, once a target, became a gathering spot for neighbors who'd learned the cost of silence. Karen's fall wasn't just a punishment, it was a wake-up call. So what do you think? Was Karen's downfall justice, or did the neighborhood go too far? Share your thoughts. Willow Creek's still talking about it.